Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Now today we are on episode 6 of our Spin Out TBR challenge, where we basically spin a wheel full of book prompts to get books off my physical TBR. That's pretty self-explanatory. So in the last episode, we have in fact maintained our number under halfway compared to books I own and books that are on my physical TBR. So I'm hoping to keep it in the positive through this video as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what books that we pick. I am starting this video a little bit later in the month than I normally do, but I'm still hoping to get just as many books read as I normally do, but we will see how we go throughout this video. So without further ado, let me grab the spin wheel for you so we can find our first book to read in this video. Okay, so here is our spin wheel full of prompts. As you can see, I've got quite a few prompts on there. I can't remember all of them at this point because we are 6 months in. So I'm hoping that some things pop up that we haven't seen before. And I'm kind of excited to see if we get some random picks maybe, which I haven't been excited for in past videos. I've wanted to solely be my choice. But there's a couple on this wheel that will provide us with random picks. And I'm actually kind of excited to experience that this month. So let me just spin the wheel. Limbo shelf. Okay, so if you haven't been on my channel before, or if you have and you don't know what a limbo shelf is, this is basically my shelf full of temporary books that I have. So by temporary, I mean books that I've gotten from the book exchange in town that I intend to give back once I read them, or just books that I've gotten from op shops and everything as well, that are not necessarily ones that I want to keep permanently on these shelves, but I wanted to experience and read them anyway. So there's not really a good way to show you the limbo shelf. So I'm just going to pick a couple of books off the limbo shelf and talk with you about them and pick one out of those books to read. Okay, so I've picked 3 books off the shelves. I've now moved it because this is all my unhaul books that need to be unhauled, and below that is my limbo shelf on this book cart next to me. It is very hard to show you because it is quite full. So basically, I have picked off books of this book cart that are in the section of it that once I read them, I do intend to pull them off this shelf. There is one in this selection that if it's good enough, it may be kept, or I will buy a better edition of it and give this back to the book exchange itself. So that book is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. So I grabbed the 3 books in this series from an op shop, I think, and I intended to read them and then unhaul them, but I know that I have the Formula One Romance by Lauren Asher on this bookshelf, and I loved the first book. So if I do in fact seem to love these books, I will probably either get a better edition of it, better copies of it that aren't as worn, or I will keep these copies because these are actually in quite good condition. It just depends how much I like the book, because if I like this book so much that I think I'm going to reread it over and over and over again, I'd rather have a fresh copy so that then I can wear and tear it myself and it's going to last that little bit longer. The second contender is from a movie that I really, really loved, and it is The Longest Ride by Nicholas Sparks. Now, I read Safe Haven by him, I think last year, because I loved that movie as well. And I saw this one in the book exchange and I thought I have to have it. And I grabbed it to read. This is another one that I will probably unhaul once I read it. I don't intend on keeping this. For me to keep a romance book, it has to either be a really damn good romance book or just a guilty pleasure book that I can go back to read and read again. And this one, I believe I will probably hand back to the book exchange once I read it for someone else to read. Because even if I do like it, it does have some molding on the pages and I don't want to add that to my main bookshelf. So if I do enjoy it that much, I will probably buy a new copy. But if this is like Safe Haven, I do think this is one that I can read and safely unhaul, because if I want to read it again, I'm sure I can find it at my library or something else. I'm sure that's an easy access thing for me. And the last book I picked is a book that I solely picked because I've wanted to try this author for a while. And I also picked because there's a Goodreads challenge that involves this book. So not this book specifically, but if I read this book, it will actually complete the challenge. And that's Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. Now, I am not sure what this is about. This is one that I want to go in completely blind. It is a mystery thriller book. I would love to not know anything about it going into it. And I actually think, now that I'm holding this in my hands, that out of all these books that I've said, I actually think this one's the one that I will in fact read, if only for that challenge that I really want to complete, because I haven't completed as many as I wanted to this year, and it'd be really cool to get this ticked off. And it would also give me something in Riley Sager's repertoire under my belt, so I can start to know whether he is an author that I will enjoy reading. And I think I've heard that this one is a good one. I did in fact find this at the Book Exchange. It's easy to see which ones are from the Book Exchange originally, because they have library stuff on them, because the Book Exchange is run by the library. So this is an original that's been in the Book Exchange for a while, and I am really looking forward to reading this and seeing how it goes. So I will in fact be starting with this book now that I am holding it, and I will see you in the next clip to see how this book's going for me. Okay, we are back in our marshmallow state to update you on what I'm up to with the reading. Now, I would have filmed clips for this book, but I realized right when I started this book that I literally have a week and a half, not even that much, to finish this video before the end of the month, because I am then going to upload other videos as well. So I've given myself a week to finish this video, therefore I need to finish at least 2 or 3 books before that time. So with the book that I picked out, Lock Every Door, being a thriller / possibly, I'll have to look up whether it's a horror or not. I actually flew through this quite quickly because it's such a fast-paced read. So essentially in this book, we are following Jules, and she is like down on her luck. She's out of a job, and she's seen this listing for a job as a live-in apartment sitter. And she goes to the interview and she ends up getting the job. And this job will end up paying her up to $12,000 for 3 months to live in this apartment and just like apartment sit it. But like when someone goes missing that she's just made friends with, a fellow apartment sitter, she tries to delve into what happened to this girl. I don't know what I'm rating it yet. I surprisingly enjoyed it. For someone who doesn't like mystery thrillers very much, I did surprisingly enjoy it. It was quite fast paced, like I said, and it was easy to not put it down and to just keep reading it. This is my first Riley Sager book that I have read, and I've been meaning to read his books for a while. Again, I don't know if I said this at the start, but I did pick this up at my local Book Exchange. So I feel like on my list to start Riley Sager books, I think Final Girls was my first one that I wanted to start with. But I think this one was a good one to start with anyway, because it captured my attention enough that it was intriguing enough for me to want to continue reading his books. I think at the moment I'm hovering at a 3.5. And I don't think that's because of the writing at all. I think that's literally just my enjoyment level. And I feel like the way it ended was a little bit shocking, but also not very much. It was kind of something that was a little bit predictable to a point. Once you knew it, like you knew it, once it was hinted to, you knew it. But I did enjoy it. I'll have to come back to you later in the video and maybe update you on what I actually end up rating it. But at the moment, maybe a 3.5 is where I'm at. It has the possibility to go up to a 4 because there is no point in this book that I lost interest at all, or that I was cringed out, or that I rolled my eyes or anything. So we'll just have to see how it goes from here. But I have now finished this book. So now I get to spin the wheel again to see what our second book is. Again, I apologize for not having much footage of this book. Okay, so here is the wheel once again. I'm hoping that this doesn't land on something random. I know at the start of the video I said I'd love for it to land on something random, but now that I have literally a week to get this video done, I do in fact want to be able to pick a book off my shelves, and I would prefer to be able to pick like the length, for example, and not have a massive book to get through. I don't think I could do that within the week. So let's spin the wheel. We're hoping for the best. Please work with me here. Please, please, please. I need the luck. Plants on the cover. Okay, I think I can do that. Let me see. Okay, so I have found a book that has plants on the cover and is one of my shorter books. So will hopefully not take me too long, which will still allow me to hopefully get 3 books done in this video. Hopefully. I will not say that definitely, because who knows, something might pop up. I might get busy again. This book that I've picked out is the sequel to a book that I rated 5 stars last year. I don't think this one will be a 5 stars because I think the reason the first one was a 5 stars was the subject matter. And this is a second chance romance rather than, you know, a first time romance, obviously. That is Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. And this will be the next book I read. I am quite excited to read this, not just because it's the shortest book that I could find with plants on the cover, but also because I'm hoping that I do enjoy this just as much, because it is her writing and the humour that I was enjoying in the first book, as well as the extra topics. So let's go into this and see how I go. It's a different night, same outfit. It's still very cold. So I'm now living in this outfit, and I've been reading Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. Now, let me talk about what this book is about. So we're following high school sweethearts. They've been married for 12 years, I think, around about that. We've reached a point where in their relationship, our main girl is feeling like she hasn't accomplished much in life, and that she's so reliant on her husband to get her out of situations that she gets herself stuck in, that she feels like she hasn't reached a potential. She hasn't accomplished anything, like I said. And she essentially finds out about this couples camp that lasts for a week, and she thinks that this will save her marriage or help them reconnect and communicate better. Now, the first book in this series I loved and rated 5 stars. I am 77 pages into this one, and I'm loving the writing so much. The writing is fantastic. As usual, the author really pulls out some relatable things that you wouldn't think about unless you read it and go, oh yeah, I think that too, or I do that too, or I thought everyone thought that as well. I'm liking that. Like, I love her writing. Her writing's so great. This main character, though, so unlikable. I don't like her at all. She's just not... It's not that I don't relate to her. That's not the reason why I don't like her. It's just... She's kind of selfish. Self-centered is a better word for it. Self-centered. And I'm not loving how she is thinking, reacting to things, treating her husband. I understand what she's going through. She's going through a bit of a midlife crisis, but a personal midlife crisis. She's having trouble finding what she has accomplished in her 32 years of life. And I can understand that on a certain level, but her as a character, I liked her in the first book where she was a side character. I'm not liking her as a main character as much. But like, the writing is so damn good that I am enjoying that part of it, like I said. It's just taking me a bit longer. It's been 2 days since I last started this or updated you or whatever.
and I'm not even a third of the way through this book. And like I said, I am in quite a rush to finish this video before the end of the month. I don't think that's going to happen, especially like even if I want to finish this book, by the time I edit the entire video, it's going to be next month. So I think I'm just going to have to put up with that and just deal with that. But that's my thoughts at the moment on this book. And I will have to update you in a little bit, but I don't know whether I'll get to a third book or not in this video. We'll just have to see as I go along how long this book takes me, because she's hard to read. The character, not the book. The book is easy to read. The character's hard to read. I keep having to have a break after each chapter. So I'll update you when I'm a little bit further through it, and we'll see. I might have a better grasp on how long this book is going to take from there though. So I will see you then. Guess what? I finished this book. So I last left you saying that I was having trouble with this book. It was a little bit slow for me because of the main character, and I wasn't really liking our main character either. And the writing was great. The book was great, humorous, whatever. I realized, very embarrassingly, that the main character is very much like me. So I was just disliking myself. Great. And the way I called her self-centered, defensively, because now I'm relating to her, I don't think it was self-centered. I think it was, she was way too in her head to consider anything else but her self-esteem. And I really liked that. Now, I've rated this book 4 stars. The first book in the series, Out on Limb, was 5 stars, but I connected to that so much more than I did to this one. And I think that's because in that one, they both had physical disabilities. So we were meeting the experience of that as well as their relationship. And it was a caretaking relationship as well, because she had an accidental pregnancy. In this one, we're coming into someone's marriage, essentially 12 years into them being married, but they've been together far longer. They're like high school sweethearts. I think that might be why I'm a little bit about my rating. I'm not at a 5 star, but a 4 star is where I've leveled at. The main female character in this reminds me of me. The main male character in this is just a more nerdy version of my partner. So I did relate to that a lot. And honestly, them going through what they're going through, it wasn't a major thing, in my opinion. I think it was just a communication thing. And because of her self-esteem, I think it turned into a relationship thing that helped when they went on this camp thing. I think it was really good. So good, in fact, that I thought that there couldn't possibly be a third act conflict. There couldn't possibly be anything that happens at the end to make me concerned for anyone's safety. Yep. I did enjoy it though, and I love Hannah Bonham Young's writing. I love how she puts humor into her stories that makes you like laugh out loud, but the next moment you're like in distress, like emotionally, you're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? I love that she does that to me, and I love how relatable her writing is and everything. And I just absolutely had such a good time with this. Once I got past my aversion to the main character, my funny aversion to the main character, it was a lot easier to like binge through this book so quickly. I did it in one day. So with that being said, I could be very, very, very hopeful, but I think in the 2 days, 1 3/4 days we have left in this month, I'm going to try and squeeze in one more book, but on the condition that I can get the audiobook for a book off my TBR on my library app. And I have a couple in mind that would be really good, that don't have very long audiobooks. Like I'm talking, they're not over 24 hours long audiobooks. And I think that we could finish before the end of this video if I audiobook and tandem read. With that being said, let's bring up the wheel one final time and see if we can match to one of those books. If not, I do have a backup book here that is very short that I reckon I could fly through. So let me bring up the wheel and show you. Okay, so we have the spin wheel again. We know what we're hoping for. Fingers crossing that we get it. Okay, let's go. New author to me. That fits at least two of the books that I... Sorry, Minty got very passionate about that. That fits at least two of the books that I have audiobooks for. Let me grab one of them and show you what we're going to read. So I've picked the book off my shelf and I have now borrowed the audiobook from the library. So all in now, this audiobook is just under 14 hours long. And at the pace that I listen to audiobooks while I'm reading the book at the same time, I think that this is going to be good. I think it's going to halve that time. So I'm hoping we have enough time for it. And that book is The Half King by Melissa Landers. And I have the audiobook sitting right here ready to start. So I'm going to start this and I'll check in with you probably when I finish it. We'll see if I have a check-in halfway through. So I'm coming back to you about 8.5 hours later, and I have now finished The Half King. Now, the reason why I didn't end up updating you halfway through it is because I spent basically that whole 8.5 hours crocheting, which is why you see a whole pile of yarn behind me. I spent all that time crocheting while listening to this book, and then in between crocheting, I was picking it up and following along as it was reading. Essentially, in this world, there is a certain history of the kingdoms basically ganging up together in a rebellion against the goddess. And in retaliation for them trying to kill her, she's basically cursed all of the firstborns of all of these families that began this rebellion against her, or was a part of the rebellion. We've got 4 firstborns, and one of the firstborns is the king of this kingdom, and he is cursed to shadows. So like basically when the sun goes down, he turns into shadows and he goes into the shadow realm. No one knows what happens to him during that time, but then he just appears later on and everything seems to be healed if he's been injured or whatever. And our main character, Charisse, she is sort of an oracle, or someone who, she hasn't had the sight, so she hasn't been able to see visions of what is to come, or what is truth, or whatever it is. And she gets involved in a vision that sees her sort of breaking these curses, and instead she's sent to the palace as like a replacement for this older woman who was a seer. And she's there with the knowledge that she needs to break this curse, essentially. That's like all I can say about it, really, without giving away a lot of other plot points. I can tell you that going into this book, I trusted no one at all. Everything that everyone was saying sounded sus to me. Goodreads says this is young adult. I don't think it is. I think that the writing ticks that box. I think that the voice of the character ticks that box. Everything else does not tick that box. There's violence, there's death, there is spice. It definitely doesn't seem like a young adult book to me. But this book lacked depth. I would have loved to learn more about the curses that these characters had and how they were dealing with it, and what, like, I just wanted more of that. And I understand that the plot twist at the end was a little bit shocking, oh my god, but it was predictable to a sense, because it was kind of obvious at the start that there was something suspicious. Like I said, I was suspicious of everyone throughout this book. I trusted no one. The romance was very insta-love. There was no yearning. There was no... I didn't feel it. There was no emotion behind it. It was just, oh, we should be together. Cool. I don't know. I think that this is a very mid book. in my personal opinion, my reading taste. I think that this is a 3-star book, and I don't really care about continuing it. I know it's going to be a duology. This book came out in 2024, and the next book comes out in January of next year. So it has taken a while to come out. I just don't feel the need to continue the series. I don't really care at all. So there's that. There's my feelings on it at the moment. Mind you, I have only just finished it and then sat down to update the video so I can get the video edited and up. But that is my thoughts at the moment. I just wanted more depth. I just needed more information and to understand the magic system sort of better, because it didn't have any flavor. It just had the building blocks that I think should have been or could have been expanded on. So, in saying that, this was the last book that I'm reading in this video. As you know, I put this right down to the wire. So I've got to finish editing this video tonight so I can set it for upload tomorrow. At the start of this video, I believe that we had 127 books on our physical TBR that we had not read. And after finishing this video, it may seem like I have finished with 2 less, but I have in fact finished with 123 books on the physical TBR, because I have been reading books off my physical TBR throughout the filming of this video as well, that I was reading for book club and for another video that I'm filming. So we have cut down the TBR quite a lot, like the physical TBR, knowing that in the last video we did not finish with 127 books. Yes, I did buy 2 books in between then, but we're still in the positive where it comes to what books I own and what books that I have read and haven't read. Now, this last book that I read will be unhauled from the owned pile, so that will adjust the numbers a little bit, but that's okay. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I am sorry that it was a bit of a rush at the end, because I did genuinely want to finish 3 books in this video, and I'm so glad that I have. And honestly, there was no reason for me to be stressed about it at all. I don't know why I was stressed. There's no one's holding me to this. I just really wanted to finish 3 books. So I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, I have some other videos on my channel you might like to watch if you wanted to go visit me over there. But until my next video, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your month, even though there's 1 day left. And I do hope that you have a wonderful July, and I will see you then for some more videos. Bye.